Hi, everybody. This is Ing. Welcome to the 12 o'clock edition of Praise You, my talk on Instagram Live. And today we are going to be talking with Eugenie Tsai from the Brooklyn Museum. I'm really excited to speak with her because she is such a great person, wonderful mentor, and is also a brilliant curator. So in a minute, I'm going to bring Eugenie on. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Ing Chen. I'm calling or streaming right now from the Boston area. And once Eugenie comes on, we'll get started. This will be a really nice half hour. So let me just see. Let me see if Eugenie is going to go on. In the meantime, if you are on, tell us where you are streaming from, what city, what time zone. I think since we started doing this yesterday morning, we've had people from all over the world, which has been awesome. And, some people I know, but a lot of you I don't. I see Eugenia's just come on. Hey, Eugenie. Whenever you're ready, request to join in. Yeah, Morocco. Cool. How is it in Morocco right now? Hey, Dubai. Hey, Karash. All right, let's get Eugenie on. You ready, Eugenie? Hi from California, LNO.
Oh,
hi. Oh, you're sorry.
I'm going to switch my phone. Here I am.
Well, maybe it is a little bit topsy-turvy in New York right now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Hello, so Hi. Nice to see you.
Oh, great to see you. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay. Everyone else, thumbs up if you can hear Eugenie okay. Let us know.
Hey, Lucy.
Isn't this fun, Eugenie?
Yeah.
This is your first Instagram Live, right?
Yeah. I mean, Zoom, okay, I'm kind of figuring that one out, but yeah, this is first Instagram Live.
I know. You're my third. So are you having lunch or coffee still? I'm like in between.
I'm between coffees. I'm having hot water and lemon.
Good for you. That's very good for you. So everyone, this is Eugenie Tsai, who is a curator at the Brooklyn Museum of Art. And we know each other from probably 15 years ago or so when I worked at this place. I just found my ID.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that crazy? I tried to get away with this when I would go just try and get in for free at museums for a while. And then after a while, they were like, yeah, this...
I think they redesigned the card.
I think it's no longer called PS1 MoMA. Remember when it was so contentious? Do we call it PS1 Center for Contemporary Art? Is it, Anyway, so Eugenie was a curator and on the curatorial director, team leader. She was just...
Curatorial affairs.
That's what it was at PS1, and I was the press director, and I just loved working with you so much. So tell the people who have joined just briefly about yourself and your work.
Oh, okay. Well, so I'm the contemporary curator at the Brooklyn Museum, where I've been for about 12 years, and I've worked on some really interesting shows and had the opportunity to bring in great works of art. And I'm happy to be working at Brooklyn. I think that we've always been ahead of the curve in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think a lot of museums in New York are just catching up right now, not just New York, but museums around the country. So it's been really, it's been a joy.
Good. And how many years have you been there now?
I think it's about 12.
Wow.
Yeah. Time flies when you're having a good time.
It was right after PS1,
It was right after PS1.
Okay. Yeah. Whoa. Okay. And you've done some incredible shows. So were you planning anything, or are you in the middle of planning anything that was affected directly by COVID-19?
No, I think my timing was actually really great because I had two shows just open. One was a show of Jacques Louis David meets Kehinde Wiley It's a show of the 2 Napoleon paintings, which I co-curated with my colleague Lisa Small. And that just opened, and the Jeffrey Gibson show, When Fire is Applied to a Stone, It Cracks. It's an exhibition he organized with a scholar from Bard, Dr. Christian Crouch. And that show's actually scheduled through January 2021. So people actually might get a chance to see it. So I know.
Right, everything is so unknown. Hi, Dana.
So then I'm working on a cause show, which hasn't been open. So I'm actually.
What was it? What was it originally slated for?
It is slated for early 2021, and I think we're aiming for that. But with the caveat that everything is changing, and who knows.
Who knows? Well, we'll go into that a little bit. But first, before we go into work stories, how are you doing? How are you feeling on a human level? One of the things I love about following you on Instagram is your walks and, the priority that you give yourself to spend time outside and still to see things outside. What has that been like for you?
So, these daily walks, these sanity walks are incredibly important. After 9/11, I remember thinking this, because I live downtown, I really need to see a shrink, or if not that, I could just exercise. And I decided it would be cheaper and more effective to exercise because I really didn't want to examine feelings of fear. I knew the feelings of fear, but what I really needed was a way to kind of work things through. And so just, exercising, moving your body. And in this case, being outside to remind ourselves that the world actually exists and continues to go on. It's an opportunity also to walk around the city and look at things that you may have forgotten about, to see things in a different way. Occasionally you run into people and those are always amazing experiences.
Yes, I've seen a few run-ins. But you have to restrain yourself from giving them a hug.
Give them a big hug. I know you have to leave from a distance. And actually, yesterday we ran into Mingwei at Battery Park City. He and his doing exactly what we were doing, which is walking. Yeah, and we had our masks on. We kind of waved and then stood and talked from a distance. Of 7 feet at each other. But it was, it was wonderful.
Oh, that's great. Well, I mean, just so people know, you don't live in Brooklyn. You live in Lower Manhattan. So you, I assume you haven't crossed the bridge yet to get to your old place.
We walked across the Brooklyn Bridge the other day. And it was kind of nice because there were very few people. Right. And we got to Brooklyn, and I got to the other side, and there was a big sign, Brooklyn Museum with an arrow. And I thought, I could go to my real office if I had. Well, we used to be neighbors when I lived in Manhattan, and it was always nice to run into you and Tom. And, now here in Boston, I'm definitely a little bit more, I'm not running into people. So I do miss that element. Oh, I know. Well, your kids went to the school near our place with the Duke Riley mural on. Yeah. So I see the kids and.
Right. I can't imagine if we were still living in Lower Manhattan right now, what we would be going through. It's hard enough as it is. But, with the confined space that we had and all the people, that I think it would have just been really tough for us. But, so for those who have just joined, I'm speaking with Eugenie Tsai from the Brooklyn Museum, and we'll get to some questions. I think, we had an email exchange last night just talking about trying to fine tune what we wanted to talk about, because honestly, there is so much. But I think one of the issues that I'm very interested in, and I know that you have incredible insights on, is the role of the institution during COVID-19 and how, I think that's a big, broad question, but, things like fundraising, things like audience development, programming. Is there anything in particular amongst those sets of questions that you find really pressing and you want to talk about right now?
Well, I think everything is really pressing. It's kind of like, what is the new normal going to look like? And the idea that the quarantine is going to be lifted and suddenly everything's going to be just like it was is crazy. And but then we don't have the ability to think ahead, to kind of imagine a future, you know.
Yeah.
We don't have a crystal ball. So we're just kind of making educated guesses on the basis of current information. So part of it is, when are people going to be comfortable going back out in public? And, although we really want to see our friends again, when are we going to be comfortable getting on the subway, going out to a museum, mingling with people in coat check in the lobbies and galleries? I think museums have an advantage because if you're in a gallery and you feel uncomfortable, that you're getting too close to people, you can move. But, when are you going to feel comfortable going to a theater to watch a play or ballet or dance? And, sit basically 6 inches from someone for 2 hours, Yeah, that makes me wonder. And then all of the things that we love, well, maybe not love too much, but openings, galas, art fairs, things where, a crammed room builds success and makes it really fun, and are we going to be comfortable doing that again?
Right.
And then the question of funding are, clearly these institutions are in, are in bad financial shape.
Right.
Philanthropists may, if they have resources, they may want to reprioritize and focus on health and hospitals.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, there are just so many question marks. And
there's so many. I mean, actually, right before our chat started, I was on a conference call with the fundraising committee from ISCP, on which I serve on the board. And, those were all the questions we talked about, because normally there's a benefit auction. We ask artists to donate an artwork. Do we feel comfortable doing that right now when so many artists are, struggling themselves and trying to figure out how to, get their income in over the next few months? And then how do we plan the contingency if we can't have a physical event? What do you do instead? So, but, for Brooklyn Museum, it's the public's museum for the entire borough. So people, I'm sure, are needing it, right? They need the community. They need to see something, the museum provides, free days, free times to go in. So it's a public access point. So you really are serving this huge community. Are you having, what are the conversations internally amongst, is it just a big picture conversation right now? Or are you guys kind of going into little teams and
I think it's everything. I think, we, like other institutions, are really communicating with our public virtually. So we all put our exhibitions online. I worked with my co-curators to do the David Wiley show and the Gibson show, which come out as Instagram stories. We think about staff members have contributed works of art that they miss seeing when they're not in the office. There are various children's activities based on works of art in the collection. So everyone has remained really active to keep our presence, to maintain contact between the institution and our audiences. We did a virtual First Friday, which I thought was pretty incredible.
Wow. How did that work?
It had different, clearly it wasn't, it captured different performances at different times. And it's amazing. And, clearly not the same as being there. None of these is. But there's something there. You're definitely connecting in a different way. And I can't help wondering how these sorts of virtual platforms are going to remain even after, whenever we, can join the world again. What's the combination going to be? What's the balance going to be?
Right. Well, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, I'm speaking with Phil Tenari from the UCCA in Beijing. And I'm really interested in hearing what he has to say about opening or, attempting to reopen a museum space in Asia right now.
Yeah. What is their time frame? Have they reopened or about? Okay.
We'll find out at 9 a.m. tomorrow with Bill Tenari. I don't know. And I know, they were the first, right, to even have to understand how to cope with this. And I mean, I'm sure for you, but for me, the first week or two was just like, I need to figure this out. Like, how am I feeling? How is this affecting me on a personal level? I didn't really have the time or the energy to think about, my work, honestly. And
no, it was hard to focus, you
yeah.
And
yeah.
check your phone for updates,
right,
number of
right.
apps, new developments. I think I've now gotten into a better rhythm where my focus is much better. And I have to say that walks are really important because they just take your mind off of statistics, and also exercise makes you sleep better, quite honestly. So
and I think it's true. Everyone in my family, we're all sleeping terribly, and I think it's because we're not getting outside as much as we should. The weather's been not great in Boston, so but we're trying to get I have 2 little kids, as you know, so we're just trying to get people outdoors on their bikes. But it's hard because you have to say, don't get too close to people, and it's just a lot to try to figure out over the course of the day. But I mean, on your walks, are you seeing anything that you maybe haven't noticed before? Because you did a whole bunch of kind of public art things in New York, which I loved.
A lot of public art, and a lot of it is pretty bad, as I'm discovering. Yesterday I saw the Fearless Girl, and someone had a mask on her, and
really?
The bull. There's a lot of Battery Park City has a lot of art from the 80s, including some really great pieces, Martin Puryear, and one of my favorites, Mary Mrs. South Cove. There's some incredibly bad pieces in Battery Park itself, and it's kind of charming in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the word, but you realize how many monuments there are in the city, and it kind of it makes you rethink public art quite a bit.
Interesting.
Architecture also,
yes,
the Woolworth building, and then just parts of the city, like the skate park under Manhattan Bridge, the Brooklyn Bridge itself, and the city is a work of art. You realize that, and how but it reminds me a lot of being in the city in the late 70s and 80s, where it's a little bit eerie to be in the streets because they're so empty. We tend to avoid the waterfronts because they're very crowded with joggers and walkers who aren't practicing social distancing. Yeah. So, and it's also, there's an edge of fear. I mean, I don't walk alone because, you realize how important crowds are in cities in terms of safety. So you're walking around a deserted city, I'm thinking, there's no one here. And
it's dystopian.
It is. And also I have to say there's some, I'm fearful of anti-Asian sentiment and of being caught there, in an empty place and being attacked. I mean, I'm just...
Me too. So... Yeah, I think, that's been the really interesting thing for me on a personal level is, the anti-Asian sentiments and, the reports in the press about attacks on Asian Americans. And obviously our president has not, helped. So, that's something that I'm going to talk to with an artist this weekend, Susan Chen. As a young Asian American artist, there's just a lot that someone like her is thinking about right now. But, and we're more than halfway through already. I feel like we have so much to say. But we also want to talk a little about artists and how you feel they, obviously artists have a role in our society all the time. But in your dialogue with certain artists, what have you been hearing from them? Are they feeling inspired, or are they feeling like this is a moment of reflection for them?
Well, I think it's probably different for everyone. What surprised me is conversations I've had with artists in the past few weeks. 3 of them, artists who are deeply engaged with social practice, and they will remain nameless, but all of them have been doing work in the studio. 2 of them are painting for the first time in years, and one of them is doing charcoal drawings. And I think it's just a time for reflection. It's a time to maybe retreat from what's happening out in the world, because you need time. I mean, all of us need time to process what's happening, and to kind of think about the implications for us and the world. Mm-hmm. And I think, quite honestly, some of it is mourning. I mean, just grieving for, not just for people who have passed, or people know of who have passed, but for a way of, for our past lives. And the way,
beautiful.
All of the things we've taken for granted, and just thinking, that's gone. I don't know what's going to replace it, and I don't know. No one knows, but so I think that's some of it, and I suspect that there's probably going to be a retreat to, and I mean retreat in the best possible sense of the word, but maybe to artists exploring spirituality, and
which I think has already been happening, right? But
exactly.
Even more so, yeah.
But I think activism is still going to be important,
Yes.
Again, it's going to be the whole range, the whole gamut, different kinds of responses. But I was interested that some of the artists who were so deeply engaged with social practice and the public have retreated from that for the time being. And I do suspect it's temporary, but.
Yeah, but you never know. Well, something that I've heard from some people who work in institutions is that they've kind of gone into their archives, to look. And part of it is you need content, right? If you don't have things on the wall, you're going to go in your archives. And I love archives. I was talking to Sarah Raza yesterday about the Met Library and that being one of my favorite places. And I'm sure that for people who are doing marketing and social media, I mean, you're just probably constantly going like, give me more, because this is the only channel right now that a museum has. Mostly, I mean, besides.
I totally agree with that. And, even personal archives, we're all going through our pictures. What are we we need content, right, to post.
I mean,
I think it's great to look at the past, especially through the lens of the present. But I'm really more curious about the future. But then again, you can't talk about the future. You can only speculate about the future.
Right.
So,
yeah. Do you think, do you see artists going digital more? Is that something you've noticed at all? I'm just wondering as more artists have to go online, in some ways, if they want to interact with any members of the public or any audiences, besides like I've seen some really cool things. Like I did a call-in by Magic, which I will be speaking with the artist in about a week's time. So that was just, anyone with the phone line can call in and hear magic tricks and have a really nice few minutes. The artist is Jeanette Andrews, and she's from Chicago, so we'll talk with her. And then I also did a call-in for poetry, which Martha Tuttles shared with me. And I thought that